Hi everyone! Tired of spending hours crafting the perfect LinkedIn post only to see it get buried in the feed? What if I told you there is a smarter way to dominate your content game without lifting even a finger? In today's video, I'm going to reveal how you can harness the power of AI to turn your daily newsletters into engaging LinkedIn content automatically. So here is the deal. We're talking about extracting golden nuggets from the Neuron daily newsletter on the latest AI news, crafting posts in the unique style of Ruben Hassid, one of LinkedIn top AI voices, updating your database, and then posting it all directly from your personal profile. No manual effort, just results. For topic research, you can also use Perplexity or another influencer that frequently posts on social media on the topic. However, I often read the Neuron's update on the latest AI news and find it most up-to-date and accurate. Ruben Hassid, in turn, is one of the fastest growing AI voices on LinkedIn, so I want to make sure my posts follow the style of him. Likewise, you can find your own niche newsletter or top industry voice that you want to take the inspiration from. I will share how the whole process works step by step and even show you some important findings I have found on the go. As this automation is a longer one, I will focus less on details of each model but more on full overview of the process that is needed to build this automation. Ready to turn your LinkedIn into lead generation powerhouse? Let's dive in. Alright, so let's take a quick overview of how the process is going to look like. So first of all, we're going to use the top AI voice for the content. I could have used Perplexity or any other research tool to find top news, or I could search for news articles. But the problem is I don't know which articles are more relevant than other ones, and you need to screen through them and waste a lot of time. So I don't want to really do that. Instead, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading the newsletter from the Neuron. I will be extracting that information from them because they have already searched for different articles, different posts, and they have surfed and found the most relevant information. If I'm going to post on LinkedIn, I do not need necessarily to be the first one here because they grab this information from Twitter and all over the internet. And if I'm going to be posting this today or even a day after, that's not a big deal for me. It's still relevant, still hot topic. People are still going to be discussing that. So I let kind of do them research and not use Perplexity for that reason or any other tool. You can also find in your niche any other top influencer, top AI voice that's going to be providing you with quality content, and then you're going to be parsing that content and creating your own post. That's what usually people sometimes do on LinkedIn. They repost stuff, they share stuff. So that's essentially the same thing. The next is I'm going to be creating an OpenAI Assistant, and I want to create specifically so that it creates LinkedIn posts. However, I don't really know what's going to work, what's not going to work on LinkedIn. So instead, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to find a person that's a top AI voice in my niche. In particular, that's going to be Ruben Hassid. If you go and on LinkedIn and we find Ruben Hassid, that's the guy that has more than 400,000 followers on LinkedIn, and he usually posts about AI, and his posts are good in terms of like reach. He always gets a lot of likes, shares, and comments. So what I want to do, I want to copy paste the style of him. I want to copy paste the way he creates the post, he writes the text, he creates the visuals. Well, the visuals in particular, I'm not going to be creating for this particular automation, but I'm going to be copy pasting the style of text that he's using. And believing that if this guy has found the way the LinkedIn algorithm works, I should be able to at least to try to copy paste the style of him and use it for my own purpose. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is automation around that. So basically I'm grabbing content from the newsletter and then I reformulate this content, and I'm going to explain it a little bit later what I'm doing here. But basically I'm extracting the most relevant news, I'm extracting pictures, and then I create a LinkedIn post. And basically once the post is created, it's set it on my Airtable database, and there is a trigger for no and yes. So basically whether we post this post or we don't post this post, and another automation is going to watch if we set the trigger to yes, which means to post the post. The automation is going to work out and it's going to post it from my personal profile. So essentially what happens is we scrape the data, create a LinkedIn post. I'm going to review it in Airtable whenever I have time, and I set it to yes, and whenever I set it to yes, it's going to trigger another automation to post it on LinkedIn from my profile. Because before it will be done automatically, I want to make sure it works fine. I don't want to have hiccups, fuck-ups with the text. So that's why I have this kind of manual review process added to the whole automation. So let's take a look how that works. So first of all, what is important, we need to create an OpenAI Assistant for LinkedIn post creation. For that, I'm going to be using Ruben Hassid style. So let's take a look how that works. I actually go to Epify account and I use an actor called LinkedIn Post Information Scraper. And basically, I'm not going to be automating anything here. The only thing I need to do here is to run an actor and get the data, because this will be the training data for my OpenAI Assistant. So here what it consists of, it's basically cookies that we need to paste in. We can post different URLs, but I didn't have any URLs, but I have a profile. I have a profile of a specific person I want to scrape. And basically for the last 60 days, I scraped 50 posts, right? So you run an actor and then you may see the output. So the output looks like this. What I do next, I export this output to Excel file. So you go to Excel, you press download, and you download it into the Excel file. So it's gonna look like this. So you've got comments, you get company on LinkedIn content, and a lot of different columns for that. So I'm gonna edit that file, and I want it to format in a specific way so that I can feed this to my large language model and it understands that. And I want to find the most trending posts. I don't want to feed it all the posts because there might have been some unsuccessful posts, so we don't want to copy paste that. So this is how we're gonna do this. So first of all, we clean the data, and what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna eliminate the data that I don't actually need. Some columns that I don't need, I'm gonna delete. Some columns that I don't necessarily need to be visible, I'm gonna hide them. For example, document expires that. I don't need that. Document how many pages, I don't need that. Title and URL, I might need this for other purpose, so I'm gonna leave that. Then it has images, image URL, and you basically here you can find the image URL and also try to understand what kind of images he's using and do a lot of analysis. The width, expires, and height. This is what I don't really need. And basically images URL, I'm gonna hide that as well. So let's do some quick data manipulation here. All right, so what I really care about is number of comments, number of likes, and number of shares. So now I need to understand what are the posts that are the most successful or better successful than other ones. So how I'm going to do that? For this, I'm going to go to my Perplexity and ask it how to calculate impressions on LinkedIn, knowing likes, comments, and shares. Because essentially the most successful post will have the most impressions. That's what we're aiming for. So this guy says us, hey, you need to get total engagements and divide it by the engagement rate. So essentially what it says, the total engagements will be the sum of all the engagements, comments, likes, and shares, and we need to divide by engagement rate. We don't have the engagement rate, so we're gonna ask, what is the average engagement rate on LinkedIn? Well, it answers, I'm gonna sum up all the engagements for the last 50 posts for Ruben Hassid. So it says the average engagement rate considered to be around 2%, with anything above that being favorable. Some say approximately 0.41. The overall engagement rate is reported to be 385. So there is no real consensus for how much is it. But even if we use something like, okay, there is the 385, 2%, and 0.41. So they say about 3% is advisable for effective performance. So let's do something like 2% as the average. I think 2% is a good one. Engagement rate. So essentially what it means is 2% of all 100 impressions. So 100 people view your post, 2 of them is going to be liking the post or commenting or sharing that post. So I'm going to go with engagement rate 2%. And this is my assumption. Essentially, it might be different for your business, but that's totally fine. So engagement count. So then what we need to do is we need to find what is the amount of impressions for all the posts. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to take the engagement count and we're going to divide it by the engagement rates. So number impressions. Let's do impressions. So now as we have done this, we want to filter this out from largest to smallest posts to find the most relevant posts. And here we go. Basically here we can see probably the most or the biggest posts that we find that reach the most people, right? So some of the most successful posts would have reached 183,000 people. And we can actually see that, hey, this is with 2,500 likes. This looks like it was more than that, at least to my experience. I used to work with marketing on LinkedIn a little bit. This looks like this post has reached way over 183,000 given the number of likes and comments and actually shares. But let's presume this is one of the most successful posts by the metrics we define. So this is fine for this particular task. We're not looking to find the precise number of impressions. We're looking to find the most successful post, and this is definitely a successful post here. All right, so there are 13 posts that we are looking to add. So next, what I need to do, I need to take the content of these posts and add it to Word document so that I can feed that later on to my OpenAI Assistant. And the way I'm going to do this, I want to also specify in specific format, because if I'm just gonna copy paste that, it's gonna be drafty data, right? So instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a couple columns. So first, we'll create me sequence of, let's take, for example, 10 posts, whatever. And the second column, so the post number, let's take 10 the most successful posts. And the next is gonna be basically the content. And we wanna specify the content within the specific delimiters, so that the model that reads that content doesn't understand this as an instruction, but it understands this as additional information and text. And the way we're gonna do is the following. So first of all, I'm gonna output a couple of hashtags. And the reason I need to do this, because I will be adding this content to my instructions of my ChatGPT Assistant or GPT Assistant as the part of the examples. Examples will have one hashtag, and this will have a second hashtag. It means it's a kind of a subtitle of the examples title or topic. Let's put it that way. And then we go with and we add another example. And in my case, I'm gonna choose basically so here, I'll be adding the post number. Then I will add a couple of spaces so that there is a space, a couple of other spaces just in case. And then I'm going to be adding the content. And after the content, I will add another couple of spaces, so that basically those three parts, in a sense, those are kind of delimiters. So ChatGPT or GPT Assistant will not understand this as instructions. It will understand as additional content. So we get the value. All right. So here we are lacking. And we need to do this for 10. All right, so now I can copy paste that content into a Word document. So I've opened a new Word document, and let's copy paste that and see how that works. So we've got post 1 delimiters, then it goes to the next point. We've got delimiters and post 2 delimiters, etc., etc. And this is totally fine for large language model. Yes, it doesn't have additional breaks that will be easier for us and be more readable, but for large language model, it doesn't matter, because it understands it as a programmatic language. And as long as we have spaces and delimiters, right? So now we're gonna save it. It's additional document. I've already saved it, so I'm gonna close it, and then we're gonna use it later. So now we have crafted 10 the most successful posts from Ruben Hassid. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go to our ChatGPT, and we're just simply gonna ask it. So hey, first of all, I need you to write a prompt for a GPT agent. The idea is the following: I'm going to drop top 10 best models, and your job is to find out the style, find out the specifics, and give me actually a prompt that would be able to capture all the specifics of his style on LinkedIn. So this is what the ChatGPT provides us with: formatting and layout, analyzing writing style, engagement strategies, emojis, and all that. So next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that content basically all over here, and I'm gonna go to the next chat, and I'm gonna say, hey, this is your GPT agent, and you need to take and extract the specific style from an influencer. So I dropped the document that we just created with top 10 the most successful posts. And here I dropped the suggestions from another ChatGPT chat on how to extract the style from an influencer. So this is what it provides us with, right? So this is the emoji. It reads all the posts and basically says what are the specifics for this particular person. It put Ruben Hassid's name under almost each and every specific there. So I asked it reformulate this so that those are instructions for ChatGPT, and we need to remove that name. So it does that perfectly. It removes the names. It leaves all the content as it is. We go to another chat where we say, okay, now please, that's my pre-created GPT Pro Creator. So essentially I have the instructions given, so how to create professional OpenAI Assistant GPTs. And basically what I say, so those are instructions, and you need to write a detailed instructions for another OpenAI Assistant based on these instructions to extract the style. And what it does, it formulates the instructions for a new assistant in a specific format, as we have role, context, task, specifics, and we also have examples and notes, which is important because ChatGPT needs to, or actually GPT Assistant needs to understand in a certain way, and it's better to prompt it so that it's clear for everyone. So once this is created, I'm going to copy paste the whole thing that is here, and I'm going to go to Assistants Playground where you can create your OpenAI assistants. And the reason I need to do that because this will allow me to use that for make.com later. So I call it LinkedIn post ghostwriter, and I go to copy paste that prompt right here, so that this is the assistant. What else I'm going to be using? I'm using GPT-4 model, and I add a file. As you can guess, the file that I've added is basically the Ruben Hassid top post, so that it can refer to the top post still, although he has extracted already the key aspects that he needs to. So right, once this is created, we have created a kind of tailored LinkedIn expert that's gonna write in a certain style of a specific top AI influencer, and we'll keep that style for the rest of the post that we're gonna pass down. So the next we need to do is we need to find the relevant information, essentially the latest information about AI trends and topics. So for this, I'm gonna be using the Neuron, which is a pretty cool newsletter that I read almost every other day that sends out an information about latest AI trends and news that has happened all over the place. So if you want to stay informed or keep an eye on what's going on in the AI space, I suggest you go to theneurondaily.com and subscribe to their newsletter. But I'm going to be using their emails to actually get the latest content on what's happened in the AI space. So essentially, I have set the filter so that whenever I receive an email from them in my inbox, I'm going to be using that email for automation. So automation consists of the following things. We've got three nodes here. First, we extract the most interesting news. Second, we extract pictures. And third, we create a LinkedIn post. Why do we need it? So we can create the whole automation in one row. I have created it in 3 rows so that it's easier to read and understand. Yes, it will take a few additional operations, but I think for the video purpose, it's much easier to understand what's going on. So the first one is just simple ChatGPT prompt, which I say, hey, you need to read the whole text. And the way this text is actually looking, it looks like this. You've got the view image, you've got different links, you've got the text, you've got a lot of different things, right? And we don't want to create a post out of this whole trash. What we want to do is we want ChatGPT to actually read that whole text and basically extract the most interesting news. And this is what it does. It extracts the most interesting news, and it does a couple of things. It outputs this as a JSON in a JSON format, creating 2 things. First of all, news about and news content. So news content is going to be the whole section of the news on a certain topic. News about is going to be just a shorter version in 1 to 3 words, I guess, so that we can use that later. So here it's important to say, so the response format is a JSON object and we need to parse JSON responses. And here as the second message, I just output the whole email text that I just received as a newsletter. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I just set it as a variable. So whatever output I got, I set it as a specific variable so that I can extract it in the next step. The next step is extracting pictures. So here, what I do, I basically extract 3 images that fit the best the news about section. This is the nice thing because this ChatGPT, it extracts me the news, and then I need to create a picture because when I'm posting on LinkedIn, I want to use a picture and text for my post. Otherwise, it's not performing that well. It's always better when you have a picture or something like that. I want to also grab a picture from that email, and if we take a look, there are a lot of pictures. Here's the picture. Actually, this line is also a picture. This is a picture. This line is a picture. This is a picture. There are a lot of pictures, right? But we need to find the just specific pictures that will be used for our particular news. And for this one, we need the following. So we say, hey, you need to find this picture for identification. Before the image, there will be view the image, and then it's going to be provided a link. I actually ask it to take 3 pictures, and the reason I do this is because by mistake, it can take the wrong pictures. This thing doesn't really access the pictures at the moment. It doesn't read the pictures. It just follows the text and find where the text is in the whole bunch of the text email, and while it finds where the text is, it needs to find what are the pictures attached to this text. And I say the picture can be in the middle or before or after the text, and this is what usually happens. For example, here when we talk about, let's put it NVIDIA, right? So the picture for the NVIDIA post or text or article, as you call it, is in the middle. Sometimes it might be the first, sometimes it might be after the article. So we want to take all the pictures that are related here, and we parse it as a JSON so that we can use it later. So what happens in the next one? So the next guy, that guy actually accesses the pictures, and this is the cool thing. It can actually read the pictures. So I pass it 3 pictures. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I need to use this or this one because when I was using just this block, it didn't work. So I imported kind of pictures in the text. And here I say, hey, you need to review 3 images and find the image that is most relevant to the news that we are talking about. So this is what this guy does. And then we go to Airtable and we basically create a record of that and set this as a variable. The last thing is we get as a variable all the content that we have created here. And this is where we message our assistant that we just recreated in the beginning of the video. So we say, hey, create a nicely formatted LinkedIn post based on information. We don't need a lot of instructions here because all of the instructions are already given in the OpenAI playground. What we only pass is image URL. I just thought we're going to pass it so that it has additional context and it might improve some of the information it provides us with. And in that case, we'll see if that helps. Then I add a Claude response, and the reason I add Claude response because ChatGPT tend to always provide it with like delimiters and stars, so that to show whichever information is in bold or not in bold. We can use inbuilt functions within Make, or we can use Claude for that. I'm using Claude to remove the stars and delimiters that ChatGPT outputs, but also what I ask it to do to change the language a little bit, because the problem is that sometimes the content that ChatGPT creates, it is very kind of AI-ish, and you can like literally judge whether it's human written or AI written, especially when AI uses such words as self, game changer, and any other words that kind of signals that that's AI written. So I found another website that says, hey, these are the most overused words, and here I use this prompt: strictly follow these requirements. Your response should not include any of the following words: repetitively navigating, complexity, realm, understanding, dive, shell, tailor, towards, underpins, and all other words. So essentially what I'm saying, you have to avoid these words and rewrite the text that was created by ChatGPT without these words. So that's why I use the Claude Assistant here, and this is what this one says, and here's the text result. So Claude rewrites it, and then we update a record in our Airtable. Finally, let's take a look actually how that works, and I'm gonna choose specific email for this purpose. So let's take, for example, the email went last week, I guess. Let's run it and let's see how that works. So first we have extracted the whole text, and there is a lot of text out there. We definitely don't want to read this. So this one extracts the most interesting news and says, hey, the news about NVIDIA latest earnings call and OpenAI's new funding round. And it extracted the whole paragraph of that piece of news. So these guys have extracted the pictures, and we can see the pictures are the links, right? So this one extracted 3 different links, and here I can show you that this one, for example, neuron page splitters, those are the pictures that we definitely don't want to see, and I'm gonna show you. So this is what the picture look like, right? And if we receive that picture, we don't want this picture to appear in our LinkedIn post. But for example, if we look at this picture, this is probably the one that we are looking for. Yes, so this is the picture from the text here. So we provided this is a picture, this is a picture, and there was a third picture. I don't remember which one. So we want this picture to appear in our LinkedIn post because it is related to what they're talking about in this post, right? So then we update our Airtable, and we're going to take a look at that later. Then we have OpenAI Assistant, and basically the way it provides the results is it says, hey, this is a post for LinkedIn in the Ruben Hassid style. It has removed Ruben Hassid, and they just recreated the post. Then Claude is going to rewrite that post just because we don't want to use a specific wording, and also we want to get rid of stars and delimiters and all that stuff if we have it here. So for example, here we have those kind of weird stars that we don't want to appear. And actually ChatGPT uses them to use bold for specific words or headlines. We don't have that on LinkedIn, so we just remove that. And then it updates the Airtable. So let's take a look how that looks. So here we have the Airtable. Here's the content, LinkedIn text, revised LinkedIn text, created, and the post is set to none. So the second part of automation is basically checks if we gonna post it. For example, we take a look at this one and we say, so this is the revised text. OpenAI, NVIDIA, AI giants making waves, making big moves, catching everyone's attention. NVIDIA, OpenAI. Then there is a split by bullet points, use of a lot of emojis. Take action now. Share this into start a conversation about AI's future and its potential to change everything. This is more like Ruben. So yeah, that's probably something similar to what he was posting, or at least the style. At least we tried and used just 10 posts to replicate his style. And whenever we review that and say stick it to yes, this scenario is going to trigger. It is not a webhook right now. So basically the way I set it, I have a specific time interval for both automations. So this one appear on every day. And in the early morning from 5:45 to 6:15, it will start working every 15 minutes. It will basically grab whatever newsletters that came throughout the previous day. So from 6:15 to 5:45 the next day. And same happens there. This one is set right now at 60 minutes. Every 60 minutes it's going to run. So basically whenever the email arrived there and I updated the database and I post there yes, then there's going to be an automation. But if I go with no, and I'm going to run it, it's going to say, hey, There's nothing else. Just why? Because we have a formula for filtering the specific replies, and it says if post is equal to yes, then you output this post, and you sort it by the latest created, and we output just one because we want to create a LinkedIn post from that. So instead, what we're doing in the database, we say, okay, I'm ready to post that as it is. So I'm go to run once. So it grabs that post, it downloads the image, and it posts that on LinkedIn. And let's actually look how that works. Let's go to my profile. Let's go to my profile and let's see the post. So here's the post. OpenAI NVIDIA AI giants making waves. OpenNVIDIA are making big moves, catching everyone's attention. Here's why their strategies are turning heads. Earning concerns, investors are worried, why there's uncertainty about AI spending, and blah, 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 a lot of things. I really like the style of this text. It's not a lot of emojis, it's actually rewritten a little bit. It kind of catches the key idea. It's not very long, and it also provides a picture and insight. And this is always purely automatic. So I don't really need to put my hands in there. I just quickly reviewed that on Airtable, but basically I can set it automatically. And this really relieves a lot of work. You don't need to be like following a lot of news and posting that on LinkedIn to get some traction and get noticed. This is really like whole thing is automated, even in the style of a particular person. And you can choose whatever other person or expert in your niche, follow that, get some good practical implications of what their content is about, what they're posting, what's kind of their style, and use it for your own purpose. Now it's much easier. You don't even need to do it yourself. You can scrape the data and ask AI models to do it for you. Let's quickly recap the key takeaways from today's video. We covered how to automatically turn insights from the Neuron newsletter into LinkedIn posts, style them like Ruben Hassid, update your database, and post everything straight from your personal profile, all with zero manual effort. If this video gave you some new ideas or helped simplify your content strategy, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss out on a new AI use case in the business. If you're interested to explore more AI use cases, check out other videos on my channel. I speak about various applications of AI in day-to-day business. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.